happens all the time. 12,000 people die of alcohol in this country every year from out-and-out alcohol toxicity. Not to mention all the people that kill themselves in cars when they're drunk, that get into fights when they're drunk, that draw a gun when they're drunk, that get into bar brawls when they're drunk, that hit their wife when they're drunk. I mean, alcohol is implicated in so many major violent crimes, and there's not even a warning on a bottle that if you consume this in 24 hours, you'll be dead. Now, the funny thing is, there's actually stuff under your sink, like Drano, that's got skull and crossbones on it. But who the fuck's drinking Drano? Nobody. Nobody's drinking Drano, but there's warnings on it. It's right under your sink, but nobody. I haven't read since the 1960s somebody drinking Drano by accident. But something that's actually sold to be consumed and put in your body that clearly has a lethal dose of, if you consume this within 24 hours, you're going to die, not a single warning on it. And it's advertised everywhere. And the thing is, too, we're all guilty of perpetuating this because there's not a person in this room, not a woman in this room, who's over 20 that hasn't had sex with someone they should have never had sex with after drinking too much alcohol. Every single person here has got a bad story they don't want anybody to know about sex they should have never had because they were drunk. And every guy in here is guilty of trying to get a woman drunk because they wouldn't have had sex with them if they were sober. Every last one. See, all habitual. But here's the great thing with marijuana. Marijuana will never have you do anything against your moral code. You'll never steal something. You'll never have sex with them. You'll never do anything using marijuana as an excuse that you wouldn't normally do. But on cocaine or alcohol, people do crazy immoral stuff they wouldn't dream is possible if they thought about it sober. Not everyone, and we all know that too. We've seen people on cocaine do crazy things, and we've seen lots of people on alcohol do really bad things and make really bad judgments and decisions, but that's all, that alcohol is legal, and it's promoted to you on Hockey Night in Canada. And how is it even promoted? I made a reference, somewhat jokingly, about how easily we all stoop to some kind of sexual predation or sexual surrender under stupid circumstances by getting really drunk. Right? But look at how they advertise it, even on TV. It's sold to you like the Silver Bullet, Coors Silver Bullet. That's a classic one, too, because you got the three homely guys over here and the three attractive women over there, and they pull out the Silver Bullet, and bang, it goes, and it hits the women, and it looks suspiciously like an explosion of jizz, and then next they're right together, they're boogieing down, and you know the rest of the story. They're going to go home and have sex, because that's the whole idea, because that's how guys think. What else the hell do we want in a bar if we're even talking to women? What are we talking to women in a bar for? If we wanted to meet women in a social, we'd be playing bowling or something, right? But we're in a bar for a reason, and people are getting drunk. And it's totally legal. And every night, I watch this around the corner, the Canby Pub, around the corner from you. Every Friday and Saturday night, there's people lying flat out in the gutter. I can't believe it, adults. Just couldn't make it past where they're just lying in the gutter, talking up there. There's vomit all over the place. There's people fighting and squabbling. And it's a terrible scene of depredation, really. This is what's happened. You've spent your whole night getting totally polluted, and now you're making terrible judgments. You're swearing at each other. You're throwing up. You're vomiting. You got fights. You're passed out in the street. And multiply that by 10,000 locations across Canada every Friday night. And that's all legal. That's all legal. And I've never seen the head of Molson's Brewery, or for that matter, J.R. McDonald Tobacco, they both make over $1 million a year as the CEO, never brought to court to account for the 40,000 people that J.R. McDonald Tobacco kills every year in this country. 40,000. And by the way, that tobacco's not even made here anymore. I thought we were making our own cigarettes. Now it's not. It's all from Europe now. In fact, everything that kills you, I'm going to tell you about, doesn't even come from Canada. Doesn't even come from Canada. Most of that alcohol doesn't come from Canada, and it's out there and it's sold legally. Every single joint you're ever going to smoke in this country came from this country. That marijuana was all made here. That money all stays in the country. It's a patriotic act to grow marijuana because nothing else that you would get out there that's all lethal and deadly is made in Canada. Canadians actually make stuff that keeps people alive, makes them healthy, happy, live long. Look at Tommy Chong, he's 71, looks awesome. Look at Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney's 66, smokes a big bomber every day, right? The guy looks 36. People who smoke a lot of weed live long, happy lives. They don't get Alzheimer's. They don't get cancer of the lungs or respiratory system. And more importantly, they don't get myopia. Ethan Russo once speculated that one of the reasons old people seem to get crotchety and hate young people is because when their cannabinoid receptor withers away, not only is it a precursor to Alzheimer's, but it's a precursor to narrowing of your point of view, too. You start getting more and more closed-minded, literally. as time goes by because you're not feeding your cannabinoid receptor in your body. We're going to get to the incredible things cannabis does for your brain, but let's look at some of the things. Tobacco, legal, kills 40,000. Alcohol kills 12,000. Responsible for unprecedented amount of carnage. 27 million Americans and about 1.5 million Canadians are on antidepressants right now, like Zoloft and Effexor and things like that. And that's why nobody protests the wars anymore. Have you noticed we've had a war in Afghanistan and Iraq for like 8 fucking years and nobody gives a goddamn? Doesn't that seem odd to you? We're living in 2009 where we teach our kids that war is wrong, but we have wars go on and nobody pays any attention. I haven't seen a protest against the war in about a year. No, but ever since President Obama has been president, not a single protest. It's like, wow, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. 27 million Americans are on fucking antidepressants. Right? It's taking out the tops and bottoms of their whole thing. No wonder nobody's depressed. There's lots to be depressed of. We've got the worst economic environment we've ever had in our whole lifetimes. Oh, don't worry about that. Take a drug. There's nothing to be alarmed about. It's all under control. Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is. Oh, 2 wars abroad, 8 years, you've been saying? Wow, that's kind of like perpetual war, don't you think? That's longer than World War II. It's almost as long as Vietnam, and we know how that turned out. So, I mean, what's different about this? Take an antidepressant. Don't worry about it. Right? That's what we got. So we have the worst economic environment of all time in our lifetime. We've got 2 wars abroad. Right? We've got a war on drugs that's unprecedented. We got, what, 7,000 to 8,000 people in Mexico were killed last year during the war on drugs. You know, and apparently several hundred mayors and police chiefs were executed and assassinated. In Tucson, Arizona this year, 250 people are being kidnapped from drug war extortion. In Tucson, Arizona, that's in the United States. That's supposed to be a civilized place. Right? We've had 17 gang murders in the Lower Mainland this year alone, thanks to the Red Scorpions and UN gang. And the government we've got now wants to bring in even more laws to guarantee more people in jail. Antidepressants. They kill people. Over about 2,000 people in the general public in Canada die from antidepressants and other prescription drugs every year, and tens of thousands in the United States. In fact, there's a new movie called Generation RX that shows that most of the people who die in hospitals die from drug overdoses or the wrong drug at all given to them by doctors. Doctors are guessing all the time about what drugs should be good or bad for you, and they're killing people all the time. And you know what? Doctors are never brought before a court to account for the people they may have killed in hospitals or in the regular world, just giving out prescriptions. And don't even stop there. Like, I mean, aspirin is going to kill people. 1,000 people in North America die of acid. But why stop there? Peanuts kill 125 people every year in North America. It's not a lot, but it's way more than wheat, and peanut farmers aren't being rounded up. And sesame seeds kill 40 people every year in North America, and I don't see any sesame seed farmers. And hey, why stop there? You know, it used to be that tobacco was the leading cause of death in Canada, but it's not anymore. It's number 2. And number 1 is also something that doesn't come with any warning. It's a big bag of sugar. Obesity is killing people more than even tobacco is now, and you can buy a big bag of unrefined sugar for like $5, and it doesn't have a single warning that it's the leading cause of death in Canada. Not one. You can buy fructose, sucrose drinks from the time you're 6 months old at your school or your park or in your playground or anywhere. There's these big Coke machines, commercially. All of them got fructose, sucrose in them. And you know what? We haven't evolved where we can handle that. We're actually putting tons of toxic sludge through a little organ in our pancreas that's 5 inches by ½ an inch long. Right? And we're trying to shove tons, literally tons over our lifetime of toxic sludge through that little tiny pancreas. And that's why we've got an epidemic of diabetes in this country. Because up till 5 or 6 generations ago, up till 1830, we never had processed sugar in our diet. We evolved 40, 50,000 years without processed sugar, and then processed because we got all our sugars from fruits or juices or even like boiled up gourds like potatoes. Starches from that. That's how all people got their sugars. There was no cane sugar, you know. That was discovered in Jamaica, and the modern refining presses made modern sugar, refined sugar, that we see everywhere. Cheap, affordable, and now very, very dangerous. One of the leading cause of death is our relationship with refined sugar. Because our bodies aren't used to that much sugar. We're just not used to having everything we drink have 25 to 50% fructose, sucrose, sludge getting processed through that little organ. But there's not even a single warning on sugar, and kids get it from their parents like candy when they're young. Right? I'm sure that. And then why stop there? Salt is one of the leading, not a single warning on a box of salt, but it's the leading cause of hypertension, high blood pressure, which leads to heart attack. And heart attack is the 4th leading cause of death in this country. And it's due to there's salt in everything. You take a can of soup, it says 40 to 50% of your daily amount of salt right in that one can of soup. Canadians take in more salt than any other culture on earth for some reason. When you order processed food from McDonald's or a pizza, it is loaded with salt, it's loaded with sugar, and it's loaded with the other addictive characteristic that we like that's really, really bad for us. It's loaded with fat. You know, you develop an endorphin. You have endorphins that respond well to sugar and fats and salts, and they're all really, really bad for you, and there's never a warning on anything you buy from McDonald's that it contains the 3 deadliest ingredients known to modern man. Sugar, number 1 leading cause of death. Salt, number 4 leading cause of death. And fat, obesity, sugar combined, all those things is right in there too. And yet not a single warning on anything from McDonald's. It's all perfectly legal. But he makes lots of money. You know, and so on it goes. Fast cars, you can buy a car that goes up to 260 kilometers an hour. On roads that cannot allow you to go more than 110 kilometers an hour. You're actually sell you cars by driving through the Utah desert, Monument Flats, at 150 to 200 miles an hour, blowing dust behind with Robert Daltrey screaming from "Won't Get Fooled Again," and they sell cars in a manner that suggests that the way to enjoy it is to illegally speed really fast. And they sell them that way. And it's totally legal. They're never asked to call. It says in small letters, this is a stunt track, do not try this on a highway of your choice. Right, but basically they're still selling it to it. And so when it goes, guns are legal. I've never seen anybody who manufactured a gun called to account for the deaths they caused by guns. And even in Walkerton, Ontario, the guy killed people at the water factory, so government-approved water, killed 12 people 4 years ago in Walkerton, Ontario, and that guy got house arrest. He killed 12 people. Fell asleep right literally at the switch and let a whole bunch of cryptosporidium get into the water supply. Didn't tell anybody once he knew it was in there, so he's criminally liable. 12 people die and he gets house arrest, right? Now remember that when you hear I've gotten 5 years in a federal penitentiary for giving seeds that don't hurt anybody, that have brought more greatness to our world than anything else. And here's the irony of that, though. Let me just tell you. And I will jump all over the place, so every now and then you'll have to reel me in and remind me where it last was. But one of the great things I'm going to tell you is how many great people use marijuana to produce their great stuff. And I've just established that everything legal is going to kill you. It's all delivered with a lie. You said, schools don't tell us the truth about drugs, right? The police don't tell us. In fact, we have 5 natural enemies: parents, teachers, priests, politicians, and cops. Because they all want unquestioned obedience. They all thrive on the hypocrisy of the truth not being told. None of them can tell the truth. Parents never tell you the truth about drugs. They don't tell you the truth about lots of things. They just say, basically, do as I say, not as I do. Right? And teachers, the same thing. They need unquestioned obedience. Every teacher's got lots of experience with drugs, but they can't tell any of their students because they'll be fired. And the priests, in their mumbo-jumbo, reiterate people to keep a lifestyle that's dangerous and inept, but they don't want to hear anything that breaks into their dogma. And same with the politicians, and our police. They want unquestioned obedience. So they're always our enemy to the cannabis culture. Because here's what happened. When you first started smoking marijuana, and for some of you that would be grade 8, grade 9, others would be later. I was a late bloomer. I started smoking marijuana when I was 22. But one thing that immediately happens when you smoke marijuana, this certainly happened to with my wife when she was speaking with her pot friends and she first smoked pot for the first time, her eyes were opened up. All of a sudden, everything she was told by the prohibitionist world was a lie. And marijuana makes that so crystal clear. Oh my God, it's all lies. For example, every single place I've been to in Canada, we wiped out the natives through genocide. And in fact, in Halifax, we had several genocides by one guy alone. And there's a big statue in Halifax to General Cornwallis. And I said, do people know that he was responsible for the Acadian genocide and then the genocide of the South Nova Scotia Indians? And he wiped out everybody he could in order to colonize that place for the British. He got rid of the Acadians, sent them to Louisiana in a mass expulsion, killed out all the natives. And then when I went to St. John's, Newfoundland, I said, do you know that they wiped out the Penobscot Indians here all by 1832? Gave them smallpox-laden blankets. And when I go to my hometown, London, Ontario, they did the same thing there. Wiped out the entire native population in the space of one generation by giving out poisoned blankets to all the local Indians. And same with out here, and everywhere I've been in Canada. We use genocide as a way of ethnic cleansing to get where we want. But you never hear that in school, because then you'd feel bad about your country. Instead of Canada, true north, strong and free, how about 400 years of rape and pillage, and this is what we've got to show for it. That should be the motto. That's what we had, but you don't hear that, right? And just like you don't hear any truth in school about drugs of any kind, right? You read all these books that are irrelevant. You learn math, calculus, and algebra. You don't even need to learn one thing about numbers in school, and that's money. Everything is about money. If they taught me how to manage a checkbook and a credit card and a ledger book, that would have made so much more sense for anybody I was in school as well as myself. Everything I learned in math is completely irrelevant. Calculus, algebra, never used it. They haven't thought about it since, right? I can tell you what an isosceles triangle is, but basically, even that's never helped me out. What was all that about? 5 years of mathematics, pointless. 5 years of reading about books that have no relationship to my... I read books in school about the beauty of the rural environment. I lived in an urban environment all my life. I never read an urban environment book until I was like grade 12 in English. It's all about the beautiful aspects of nature and the... sort of thing. So all of school was this wonderland of propaganda that didn't bear a relationship to facts and reality at all. Everything you've been told that's legal is going to kill you. Everything you've been told that's legal is wrong and it's a lie. And the things you've been told about pot were especially damnable lies. Because as we've established, nobody ever dies from marijuana. It can cure you, it can help you, and do amazing things for you. And it's that cloud, that veil, that gets pulled back when you smoke marijuana that is why we're hunted down like animals. Because we become critical thinkers. As soon as you smoke pot, you go, oh my God, I realize what a hypocritical pile of swill the whole world is. And then you decide, oh my God, what am I going to do about this, right? And that's the big thing. What am I going to do about this? Because here's the thing. The world that's out there that's legal and promoted and pushed onto you is all bad and all going to kill you. And I think we've established that. Cannabis won't ever hurt you. It's not going to kill you. It's going to help you. It's going to help you whether you get MS or Crohn's disease. It's going to help you stop getting Alzheimer's. And so, in fact, we've actually contributed so much to the world. For example, here's a good thing. When you come up to prohibitionists or straight people and you say, well, how do you feel about marijuana? And they say something negative towards it. Say, well, are you aware that we owe so much of the modern era? Everything we all have has come from the minds of a pothead. I said, would you like to think about that? Because that's a good place to start, because anybody who likes a Mac computer, an iPod, or an iPhone has to thank a pothead. Stephen Jobs, when he developed the Mac computer, was a total utter pothead in the 1970s. And so everything we can be grateful for that came from a Mac computer and Apple Corporation came from the mind of a pothead. But don't stop there. Bill Gates and Paul Allen, the founders of Microsoft, both total stoners in the 1970s when they developed Microsoft. Bill Gates probably hasn't had a good idea since then, because he started in the 1980s. He's been living off Microsoft and that invention ever since, right? And Ted Turner, the founder of CNN, Cutting Edge News Network, is a pothead then, is a pothead now. And basically what I'm saying to you is, great people produce great things inspired by marijuana. I'm not talking about the guy who's in charge of CBS here, or the president of Price Waterhouse Accounting. Nobody gives a shit what they're doing, because they're not cutting edge. They don't give us the beauty and joy of the world that a guy like CNN changed the way we look at the news, right? Stephen Jobs changed the way we deal with data processing and computers. Bill Gates revolutionized the world, right? Moses Neimer, the founder of City TV and Much Music, cutting edge thing, smokes a big bomber every day, right? I mean, William Shakespeare, the father of the English language, his pipes have tested positive for hashish. The greatest writer in the English language, and every teacher refers to as the most important person in the pantheon of great writers in English, was a pothead, right? The greatest athlete of the modern era, Michael Phelps, who's got 16 gold medals. He's even got 2 bronze medals he probably uses as doilies. Just has a glass. Don't look at those bronze medals. They were a mistake. Right? He's got 16 gold medals for a guy who uses his lungs to win, and he's a bong hitter. All right? William Shakespeare, the greatest writer. Michael Phelps, the greatest athlete of all time. Right? Stephen Jobs, Bill Gates, Moses Neimer, Ted Turner, Carl Sagan, one of the most excellent, most famous scientists of the modern era. Every one of his last scientific theories, 7 of them, he developed by smoking pot and going into the shower, turning on the hot water, and writing formula in the glass shower doors and the steam that would come from them. Right? And most basketball players, Ross Robiati, smoking marijuana, the 1998 gold medalist. We've got power lifters that have just been disqualified from the last Olympics that smoked marijuana. People smoke, let's just say, you remember those iPods and iPhones we were talking about? iPod, what's on an iPod? Right? Let's look. The most accessible thing in the world is music. More people say they love music than any other thing on earth. There are lots of people like ice cream, but not everybody likes ice cream. A lot of people like hockey or baseball, but not everybody likes hockey or baseball. Every single person, when you ask a survey, says they like music. Every single person says they have a song in their heart or songs they know that they love and care about. And so everybody always answers to the affirmative, how do you feel about music? I love music. Well, what exactly is on that iPod? What exactly music are we talking about the last 3 years? Let's look at the biggest names in pop music, the Beatles. Paul McCartney's looking great at 66. He looks like he's 36, smokes a big bum. He's been convicted 3 times of marijuana. Over 30 Beatles songs have references to marijuana in them, and Got to Get You Into My Life is all about marijuana by Paul McCartney. And John Lennon was a great advocate. He came to the Canadian Parliament in 1969 along with his bed in Montreal. He also told the parliamentary committee that listened to him that the 2 things that Canada could do to make this country great would be to legalize gay marriage and to legalize marijuana. And that was in 1969. And he was a great advocate of it and a great user, and I think